Welcome to today's Seidokan Saturday, continuing our bunkai with Pinan Shodan. We've done a lot, I've talked a lot about knife hand block with last week's, and I linked the seminar that I did several years ago in North Carolina on knife hand blocking. This is going to cover some of that concept that I introduced both at the seminar and in last week's video. So the movement now in the kata, if I'm facing this way, we've gone here to this side, we've turned with the back fist and the kick, and I talked about those variations. Last week we did this with the positional implication, what the position implies. Our next two moves are square stance, knife hand block. The key here is that I'm using the preparatory position as the block, and the finished position is a wrap of the arm, similar to in wrestling what's called the wizard, and a strike to the carotid in the throat, possibly the collarbone, could be the temple, jaw, choice of targets. Okay, so again, the block is in the preparation. I've blocked the attack. Then I'm wrapping with the arm that comes around. And this again can be a 1-2, or it can be almost simultaneously, all right? There's a lot of discussion about that in terms of, there's actually writing by, I think it was Kenwa Mabuni, founder of Shuto karate, regarding the opening move of Pinan Shodan, that a punch is coming and we move to the side of the punch and block, and then this hand comes afterward as a punch. That's in his actual writing. And if we go back to one of the concepts of kata, that the fighting move came first and then was incorporated into the kata, and then if we look at his writing and explanation, we're pretty much left with the notion that that's the meaning of the movement. Does it mean it can't be used in other ways? Absolutely not, okay? We can use a hammer to pound in a nail, but I've also used a hammer and the claw side to pull drywall and to knock 2x4s out of a framing. Not the original design of a hammer, but obviously a use. Same thing with knife hand block. We strike typically in a square stance, and I discussed this way early on, simultaneous hands whipping from the shoulders, but that doesn't mean it can't be one hand slightly preceding the other. Timing will be determined by the necessity of the moment. Okay, so Holly, if you will please. For this, it could be a roundhouse punch. It could be a roundhouse punch. It could be any number of things, but we're going to use the sidearm club just for the sake of introducing a variety of potential attacks, or what Patrick McCarthy calls habitual acts of violence. So she's going to start in uke kamae first. She's going to step forward, swinging for my head. Again, as we talked about with the other weapons attacks, if I from here step back, I've just stepped right into where she's going to whack-a-fy me, okay? And if I do block, I'm blocking the stick at the height of its speed, and I don't recommend that to anybody, okay? Could be a baseball bat, a tennis racket, could be any number of things. So I step in, and now my ready position has become a check. If the club releases at all, it's going to come around my arm and do virtually nothing at this point. From here, I wrap and strike right in. It fits beautifully. We talk about the concept of contouring, which is the weapon fits the target. That fits beautifully. If she doesn't overly turn her head, that fits beautifully right on the jaw. Would be nice to Holly because we want her to come back. Okay. The next technique is the same thing on the other side because we have two in a row of these. So I step in, my ready position for the knife hand block. Coming around, I could also be checking her with my bony elbow into her shoulder. If I wanted to separate the timing, that would be a valid movement. Okay, let's turn and face the other way. Now, she's stepping with the standard karate step, which makes it, makes it easier to come on here on the inside. Now just step with a regular step. Not a whole lot harder. I just have to be aware of what my knee is going to be doing positionally. I could alternatively step in and unbalance her as I finish the technique. Okay, one more time, just regular. Hey, brush by. This can be a strike, this can be a strike. If I'm adding things, oops, oh, that's a shame, how'd that happen? Oops, that's a shame, how'd that happen? And then the knockout blow into the notch, the crevice of the clavicle and the sternocleidomastoid muscle. Right behind that is the carotid plexus of the nerve center. Okay, hey, hey. The last element of that is to make sure I'm dropping my weight as I strike. Now, I'm hitting here. Is that the only place? No. Obviously, I could use the entire length of my forearm. That's the lead pipe that I carry with me wherever I go. I could hit that hard. If she's swinging in hard and I hit that, it'll hurt. But I don't want to. I want to brush here. And as I brush, maybe that happens. But then my whole forearm can drop onto her or him or whoever's trying to hurt you and be a mean person. Okay? So that's our two sides from Pinan Shodan. From this point, 1, block, wrap, strike. 2, block, wrap, strike. Thank you for joining again. Hopefully that's of some use to you, or informative, or you can throw it away if you don't like it in your tool bag. But share, like, subscribe, hit the bell, tell a good joke, make a question, ask a question, make a comment, and thank you for joining. As always, until next week, keep practicing.